Welcome to the Montana Book Festival and to this virtual event. My name is Lauren Korn. I'm the festival director this year. Today I am with creatives Ryan Z and Cameron Sutter of the software Plottr. They are going to be introducing and presenting their software today. Ryan, Cameron, welcome.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. So let me share my screen here. Great. And Cameron, you can see that?
Yep. Yeah, I can.
So thanks everyone for checking in on our presentation here. So today we're excited to introduce you to a software program called Plottr, which is an easy to use visual plotting software for writers. And I'm hoping a lot of you all in attendance today are hoping one day to write your own books too. So to introduce myself, my name is Ryan, and I have been working with authors since 2013. I started an author marketing company back in 2015, and since then I created a book giveaway site called Book Sweeps that helps authors grow their email lists and social media platforms. And we've worked with a few thousand authors using that through that platform over the last few years. I'm based in Portland, Oregon, and I'm an aspiring author myself. Cameron, let you take it away.
All right. Hey, I'm Cameron Sutter. I'm an indie YA author and a software engineer. That's my day job. I live in Utah. I have 6 kids. In that picture, one is missing, but he's not lost. You know, we just didn't get the family photo since he's been born. But so I released Plottr, the first version, back in 2017. So it's a couple of years old now. And the inspiration for that was, so I took a class by Brandon Sanderson, pretty well-known name, about writing, creative writing in college, and he really inspired me to start writing again. I've been writing on and off my whole life, and after rewriting that story a few times and just being disorganized, I was looking for something that was more had more in the way of the planning stages. And I was using Scrivener. I still am. I still use that to write, but I didn't feel like it had enough of the notes and the visual feel that I imagined in my mind. It didn't have what I needed for the planning stages and the continuity between books, which is Plottr makes really useful. So that's where Plottr was born. And Ryan and I joined forces earlier this year. So I'll take it away, Ryan.
Cool. So again, to just recap what Cameron was saying, Plottr is a visual plotting software for writers. Cameron, created it back in 2017, and it's enjoyed by a few thousand authors at this point. And so you might be wondering, how can Plottr help me? So this is, what authors tell us all the time is that it helps them plot and outline faster. It helps them write cleaner first drafts. It helps them improve productivity and save time. It helps them have more fun writing, which is awesome. And it's affordable. And we have a special offer coming for y'all at the end of this presentation. So before we get into the demo, which I'm excited to show you, so we can show you how the software works, I just want to go over a few things folks have said about Plottr so that you can be assured that it's actually useful to actually spend your time watching the rest of this. So Michael Anderle, who's an Amazon bestselling sci-fi author, says that Plottr is his go-to software when writing a new series. The ease of use is a major selling point for him. Celia Kyle, who's a New York Times bestselling romance author, says that Plottr is an amazing program that's become an integral part of her planning and record-keeping process. Not only does she use it to plot, but also as a series Bible, so she has details easily organized and at her fingertips. So you can see it's helpful for authors across all different genres. And Troy Lambert, a writing coach and mystery and thriller author, says that Plottr helps him organize and speed up his plotting and outlining process. Organization and the right pacing helps him write faster and makes first drafts better. So with that, as a little bit of context, let's dive into the demo, and Cameron can take it away.
All right, I will let me share my screen here. Let's hope it'll let me.
Perfect.
All right, great. So this is the main interface of Plottr, the main screen here. We call it the timeline. And as you can see, it's not very busy. There's not a lot there except for your story. And we made Plottr that way. We didn't want it to be complicated. We wanted it to be easy to use, that anybody can pick it up. My kids play with it. They write their own stories with it. I didn't have to teach them how to use it. They just started playing with it. It's very easy to use. Anybody can grab it and visually plan their stories with it. So let me explain how the timeline here works. So you got your chapters across the top and your plot lines or character arcs down the side. So in that way, it's kind of like a spreadsheet, or if you use index cards or sticky notes, because then you've got these scene cards at the intersection. And you can add more details to them, which we'll get into in a little bit. But you can type out all your scene details here for each one of these. And the great thing about Plottr is that you can just easily drag and drop things around. So if I wanted that to happen later in the story, I can just drag it over there. Or if I wanted a whole chapter to happen sooner or later, I just drag it and everything just moves automatically for you. It's very, very friendly, very easy to use, and everything just visually drags and drops. Because when you start planning a book visually, it really changes the game when you're able to see it in this way. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to start a new file for you so that you can see what it looks like when you first start. So in Plottr, all the files are saved on your computer, just like Word documents or Scrivener files. They're on your computer. You can decide where you want to save them. You can organize them how you like. So I'm just going to create a new project here. I don't know what I'll call it yet. We'll just give it a new name, different name. So when you create a new project, you see that it just has one plot line and one chapter. You can just easily add more chapters here, add another plot line. We'll call this the subplot. And with these chapter names, you can rename them whatever you want. So by default, they're auto-numbered, but you can, if you're thinking about scenes at the moment, or that's how you plan your story, you can just type any of one of these. You can call it a date if you want, whatever makes sense for your story. Plottr is really flexible like that, so that you can do what makes sense for your story or your writing process. Everybody does things a little different, and each story that you write is going to be a little different. So Plottr makes it easy to conform to how you do it, but it's still really powerful. And with these plot lines, you can see that they're colored here, but we can easily recolor them, whatever color we want. Give that a nice color there. And we can rename these if we wanted to. We could call this, some people do the scenes down the side. We could do that if we wanted to. And then the next thing is to add your scene card. So we're just going to click on one of these empty spaces and give it a name. We could call this scene 1. We could call this inciting, never spell this, inciting incident. And we click into it again to add more details. So here we can type in all the notes for the scene, all the brainstorming, all the ideas that we want. So something exciting is going to happen here. I'm really bad at making up things on the fly, so I just type whatever I'm saying. But so here's something exciting. We can have all the details we want, lists of things, links, images, things like that. And then you can also add in the characters that are in this scene, where it takes place, and any tags. And we'll get into the tags a little bit later. But you'll be able to filter by those things. So we can just add more of them here. This is something in the subplot. There's another scene over here. And then if we can just drag these around if we want to, move them wherever we want. Another nice thing is you can add what we call scene stacks, or it's multiple scenes in each chapter. So we could call this a scene 2 if we wanted to rename this to scene 1. We could just have a bunch of these in here. So many scenes as you want in one of these chapters. So it's really flexible. Again, we can drag these around, move them wherever we want. And you can collapse that if you want, if there's too much stuff on the screen. But that's the visual timeline. Let me go back to here to show you this file. So this is a visual timeline. It makes it really easy to visually see your story, to move it around, to adjust things. You can see plot holes and where pacing is bad. It makes it so much easier to see that. And the next thing up here is the outline. And this is more of a traditional vertical view of the outline that you're used to. Just scroll through it like this, or you can click the chapters to jump around. And each one of these little squares represents a card in the plot line that you had in the timeline. So in chapter 1, we've got one blue one. In chapter 2, we have blue, and then these other colors. So if we go here to the outline, you'll see in chapter 1, we have one blue one, and then a blue one in chapter 2, and these other colors there. So those cards represent having a scene card in that plot line. So then here in the timeline, or sorry, in the outline, you can see the details for each one of these scene cards, and you can edit them here just like you can in the timeline. You can add more details, and this is what I actually have up while I'm writing my story. So I'll have this on one side of the screen, and I'll have like Scrivener on the other side, so I can see all my notes as I'm writing the story at the same time. So it's really great. And you can see the tags that you've added there, the characters, the places, all that here on the outline. And you can just say they're in the wrong order, or they happen in different orders than it's represented here. You can easily just drag these around and change the order. You can also drag them onto a different chapter here. So it's very drag and drop in the outline as well, which makes it really nice. And one great thing about the outline that I almost forgot to mention is you can filter by a plot line here. So let's say you only want to see the main plot right now, so you can just see those scene cards with just the main plot. Or if you want to just see maybe Pig 1's character arc, then you can scroll through that and just see his scene cards there. So it makes it really easy to just see what you want to see. So that's the timeline and the outline. They work together, they're very visual, they're very easy to use. The next several are kind of what we call your story Bible. They have all the notes and details that you want to write about your characters and stories and places. So the notes area is great for world building, brainstorming, backstory that you don't want to plop into scene 1 yet, any of your ideas, any of your project planning, any of your magical items, things like that, all in one place. And this is great because I don't know about you, but as I used to write stories, I would have notes in one notebook here, and in an app over here, and on my computer somewhere else, and a document over there. But now you can have all the information for each story in one spot. And these notes are really powerful because you can have images like you see here. You can also do this rich text, so have lists of things, quotes, bold, italics, images, things like that. You can also tag your characters, places, and these tags so that you can filter to just see those notes. So let's say I just want to see the notes about brick house. So I'll filter by brick house, the ones that take place in the brick house, and it's just these 3 notes. Or let's say I want to just filter by one of my tags here. We'll learn about these more in a minute, but maybe the ones that are done. So these are the notes that I've tagged with status done. So filtering makes it really easy to, if you have tons of notes, it's easy to just see the important ones and just see the ones that you care about right now. So moving on to characters, this is very similar as the notes, but this is an area just for characters. So you've got this area here where you can write all the notes about the character. You have their a thumbnail image of them. You can say what category they're in. They're split up right now into main, supporting, and other. You can have a short description. And then the really great thing about characters and places is you can have custom attributes. So in each story, the things that you care about in that for your characters is going to be different. So in this story, we felt like the type of house that they build, their role, their gender, their primary trait, and we also had one for images here. We felt like those were important for this story. So we added them as custom attributes, and then they show up for each character here. So we can see for this one, Pig 3, his role is protagonist. He built a brick house. His gender is male, and his primary trait is hard worker. Whereas for the wolf here, he didn't build a house. His role is antagonist. His primary trait is hungry, and we didn't need to write too much more else about him. So the custom attributes are really powerful. And we also have these templates for those attributes. So there's a lot of different ways to plan characters out there, and make character sheets, and there's different templates for those character bios. And one that so we've gathered a few of those, and we put them here as starter templates. And one that I use is goal, motivation, conflict. So that's one that you can create characters with. And another one is their Enneagram type. There's this one that we made that's character bio that has, their nickname, their city of birth, their height, their fears, those kind of things. So when you create a new character with one of these, it'll have all those attributes that we saw in that template. All of them will be right here. So the nickname, the age, gender, race, eye color, all of those are going to be in this character. So those templates are really powerful. The biggest power comes when you create your own. So you can make your own templates for characters that are valuable for your writing method or your process. That was the word I was looking for. So the templates they go across projects. So you can have a template. So each of your templates can be opened in any of your projects. So let's say you have, for your main characters, you care about certain things. So I've made a main character template here. So we've got these attributes in there. But I also, let's say I want a template for pig stories. So I've got a template for my pig stories, the pigs that I care about, that I care to write about. Or maybe my character psychology template. So you can create those own templates, and then they work for any of your projects that you create with Plottr. So the templates and the custom templates that you make are really powerful for planning out characters. And again, for characters, you can add tags to them, and you can decide what book they're in a series. And we'll get into more of the series later, but you can also filter and sort by those things as well in the characters. Places is very similar. You can have custom attributes for places. You can add images, all the notes that you'd want, and you can filter and sort as well. So that's notes, characters, and places. They're like where you put all your information for all your stories. So you can have it in one place, have it organized, and for those that love world building, you can put everything you want into it. So the last tab up here is called tags. So I'm finally going to talk about the tags. I've been mentioning this a couple times, but tags are great for organization. And it's really up to you. There's no set way to use them, but it's really whatever makes sense for you. So a few ways that we've seen people use them are things like project management type ones. So these orange ones we've put here in the story for project management. So like these statuses, considering, in progress, done. So you can have tags for those. You can also have tags for the theme of the story. So we've got these green ones that are the themes of the story. So hard work, laziness, those kind of things. Or also you can have tags for the stages of a story. We've got climax, exposition, falling action, those kind of things. You can also do for point of view, or whatever makes sense for your writing progress or process. So when you add a tag here, we'll just give it a name, and you can decide on a color. So they don't have to be color coordinated. Color doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It's just whatever you want for that color, for that tag. And the way that you use them is, let's go back to the timeline here. So you can see that a lot of these scene cards are tagged. So this one has stage exposition and theme safety. And this one has stage rising action. This one has stage rising action and theme laziness. So then we can filter by those tags or any of the characters or places that we've added to them. So let's say we want to just filter by the climax stage. We'll see that just those ones are showing. Or let's say we want to filter by the ones that are done. Maybe this for you means that one I've already written. And so then you'll be able to see which ones you've already written, and you'll be able to see which ones are not done. So if you say in progress, we can see the ones that are in progress. I don't think I've tagged any with in progress, but if you had, you'd see the ones that are in progress, and you know which ones you have to start writing. So filtering in the timeline makes it really useful, really helpful to be able to just see what you want and pick out those important things. Like if you were to filter by the theme of hard work, you can see if it shows up a lot. And if that's something important for your story and it doesn't show up a lot, then you'll know that you need to add that more into your story. So there's a couple more things on the timeline that I want to show you. And I'm probably going through this a little fast. But on the timeline, you can also export. And this will export either to a Word document or to Scrivener. And let me see, I don't know if I got any one of these ready. I should have, but let me see if I can pull up. Okay, so here's an export from Plottr to Scrivener of the Three Little Pigs story. And so as you can see here, it's got so in your manuscript here, it has these index cards like Scrivener always does. And each chapter is a folder here. And then each scene card is its own document. And actually, I think this is from a template that I used. It isn't from the Three Little Pig story. But so the details of each scene card show up here in the notes area. And this is a little bit hidden in Scrivener. You just put this little information button there. And so your notes and your synopsis show up. And so you can, as you're writing, you can have your notes from Plottr here in this notes area. And so you don't even have to have Plottr on one side of the screen or Scrivener on the other side. You can just have all your notes right there from Plottr in Scrivener. And it just makes it really easy to just start writing. You just export and then you start writing. It's got your whole structure right there in Scrivener. So that's really handy. And you can also do a very similar thing in Word. I'll just show this briefly. So when you export to Word, it'll export your whole outline. So the same thing that we talked about with your structure in there, each chapter, and then each of the scene cards in there. And in Word right now, it outputs the characters, places, and notes as well. A lot of people like to print this out to have a hard copy, so they'll just have it right next to them as they're writing. In the future, we're going to make that configurable, what gets exported, but for right now, that's just the default. So you can print out, you can export it to Word and to Scrivener, and whatever makes sense for your writing process. You can import that Word document into whatever you use to write if you don't use Scrivener, or you can just start writing in Word. That's very common as well. And one of the last things here I wanted to show you in the timeline here is templates. So we talked about character templates. You can also have story arc or story structure templates. I'm going to create a new project. So this is a new file on my computer. I'm going to create it from a template, and I'm going to use the hero's journey template. Give it a name here, hero's journey. So this template has just chapter names. Each template is a little different. Some have a lot of details in them. Some are just kind of a structure to go by. But these come from different story structures, different plotting methods that are out there. There's so many out there. We tried to collect, the best ones we could find. But if there's one that you really like, you can let us know and we'll try and make a template out of that. You can also save your own timelines as a template, just like you could with characters. So you can save that and use it in all your projects. And templates are great because they just get you up and running with a structure right away. So if there's one that you know that you like, or if a custom one that you've made, or if you're just kind of new to writing or want to try something new, you can use one of these templates and then the structure is already there for you. And you just have to plug in the pieces of your story. And if you can imagine how easy that would be to just be able to plug in your story from a structure that you're already familiar with or that you're learning, it's really handy, really quick, makes you get to the writing just so much faster because of that. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things in the timeline here. We've gone through all the tabs up here except for this project tab. And that's where things get really interesting. because here in the project tab, you can see that each project of Plottr is meant for a whole series. So you can plan a whole series in one project of Plottr. So you've got book one, and that's the one that we've been showing. So this timeline here is for book one. And you can see your list of the books that you've set up in the project view here. So I can add another book, and then I click on it and it's a brand new timeline. So I can just start plotting out that book there, and I can switch over to them. So let's say I've got this fictional story here, 4 Little Pigs, that I've been working on. And so I can just switch from timeline to timeline between books. And so you have a brand new timeline for each one of your books. And you also have this series view. So the series view is meant to be a kind of a bird's eye view of your whole series, as if each book in your series were one chapter in a bigger story. So if you can imagine that, let's say this is book one, so the 3 Little Pigs. And maybe the 4 Little Pigs happens later on in our series here. But in between those, the villain, maybe the big bad wolf, he was doing something that never shows up in any book, but it's important to your series. So again, I'm just not good at making up things on the fly here, but so he does something in between book 1 and book 2 that's important to the story, but it never shows up in any story. And then maybe there's another subplot within your series, and maybe there's some character arcs that are going throughout your series. You can have all of these on here on a visual timeline as a bird's eye view of the whole series. And then you can drill into each book and see the timeline for that individual book. So the series view is super powerful. It really changes how you plan series and how you think about a story, because you can see visually all the character arcs that are weaving throughout the story, what the villain is doing when he's not on the page, and the different subplots that are going throughout your series. So it's really awesome. This has changed the way that I plan books and plan out my series. And I really hope that it helps you, make a story a lot easier and a lot more fun, and a better story overall. So that is the demo of Plottr. That's the visual timeline and how you can make your stories faster and in less time. And thanks for joining us. So I'll pass it back over to Ryan. Oh, I got to stop sharing my screen, don't I?
Awesome.
Go.
Cool. You see my screen?
Yep, perfect.
So now that you've seen how Plottr works, you might be wondering, is Plottr right for me? So there are a number of reasons that authors or aspiring authors tend to be interested in Plottr, and these include being a visual thinker. You might already have a process for writing, but you don't quite enjoy it, or it doesn't quite work for you. You don't feel like you're being as efficient as you could be. You feel disorganized, and/or you think of yourself kind of as a repentant pantser, meaning that you write without much organization, but you kind of wish that you didn't. And then finally, you might worry about pacing and losing sight of plot holes. And as Cameron showed you in the demo, with Plottr, you can easily see where scenes are taking place, and thereby figuring out if something isn't occurring that should be, or isn't explained properly. So we have a whole bunch of authors who use Plottr, and want to share a few of their thoughts with you here. So we have a case study from Michael Angeli, who we introduced you to earlier, who says that with Plottr, I'm allowed to realize the story my creativity is encouraging me to express. This tool is not a pencil or a T-square or a compass that bores me and conflicts with my creativity, but rather Plottr is a box of 128 Crayola crayons with a sharpener in the back begging me to have as much fun as I want. And I read that full quote because I enjoy it. And I think it really speaks to how you can think of Plottr when you're considering it as part of your toolbox. So before Plottr, he used Excel and Scrivener, but he found that Plottr is a more natural outlining tool for him. And now that he uses Plottr, he finds missing scenes, he can add them easily, he saves time, improves structure, and has more fun writing overall. Celia Kyle, our romance author, who I introduced to you before, says that Plottr has helped her save so much time and energy when writing. No longer does she skim past books to jar her memory or verify facts. It's all in Plottr and accessible in a handful of clicks. So before Plottr, she considered herself a disorganized pantser with notes everywhere. But since she's found and started using Plottr, she's able to verify facts and timelines while plotting and writing, and doesn't have continuity errors or plot holes quite as much. And finally, Troy Lambert, our mystery and thriller author, says that if a story just feels wrong or isn't working, you can pull it apart scene by scene and put it on a Plottr timeline and see right away where the pacing is off and where there are problems. And he particularly enjoys using Plottr's templates to map out first drafts and uncover plot holes before publishing. So with that in mind, we're excited to provide a introductory special offer for the attendees of the Montana Book Festival. And so you can enjoy a Plottr for 20% off. And so Plottr is as a software program, you get to keep it for life after your initial purchase. And if you want to continue receiving updates, there is a subscription component there. So you can get the app for 20% off, and then it includes 1 year of updates. So that comes to $29.60 for the bundle, which is both for Mac and Windows, includes licenses for both platforms, or you can buy it individually for one of the platforms for just $20 through this offer that we're presenting here today. And that includes a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy with the product for any reason, you can always email us back and get that taken care of. So Plottr, the offer that we're providing today, includes all the tools that Cameron has shown you. So the visual timelines and custom outlines, the story Bible functionality, so the ability to create characters, places, notes, and tags, the starter templates like the hero's journey that Cameron showed you, the ability to create your own timelines and character templates, and time-saving tools like Scrivener export, autosave, and it also includes all these upcoming features that we have planned, including act structure, custom colors and fonts. We have an iPad app coming out soon, and we have a lot more features that you can check out on our roadmap on our website, which is getplottr.com/our-roadmap. So again, we have a special offer that we're excited to share with you guys today for the festival. So if you use coupon code MBF for Montana Book Fest at checkout, you will get your 20% discount, and you can start plotting your next book. Hopefully it's the next great American novel. Who knows? With that, thanks so much for watching. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to email us at support@getplottr.com. So again, thank you so much for checking out this presentation of Plottr, and hope you enjoy the festival.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan and Cameron, for being here and presenting the software. And something that I didn't mention at the top of the video was that Plottr is one of our fabulous sponsors this year. So thank you for sponsoring the festival this year and supporting contemporary literature in the West. And to all of our audience members, everyone that's watching, please support Plottr by purchasing this software. And make sure that you're buying Montana Book Festival merchandise at www.montanabookfestival.com. Remember that you can also buy festival author books or books written by our festival authors at Fact and Fiction's website at factandfictionbooks.com. Again, please feel free, and I urge you to buy the Plottr software. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.